So that video and all of the other information on the 9 buildings that are already under renovation or restoration on Cleveland Street is available on the website, Cleveland Street Alliance. The website also includes, you can see here, blog updates regularly. It's updated all the time so that anyone can go to the website, see what is happening in each of those properties and projects, or they can go down Cleveland Street and see it there for themselves.
Okay. Anything else? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Questions from the council? Councilmember Auburn?
Okay. Yes, Sarah, that's a great video. You know, you've been working on that a couple of years. In fact, most of it is a couple of years old, except the last maybe minute and a half, 2 minutes. And we've been communicating with this pretty regularly since the meeting. We all had one-on-ones with Miscavige. Where's the rest of the plan? And I've been asking that from the beginning. Where's the rest of the plan that was shown to us? That's what I wanted you to bring out to the public. And I was hoping today you would have the rest of it, at least, to show or to tell or something with what we saw. Now, I know that it took an hour for us to see the whole presentation, which was, in my opinion, I can't speak for anybody else, but it was an amazing plan. I mean, a sweeping plan on a rebuild of entire downtown from Osceola past Missouri. And the one thing that I asked the chairman was, bring it to the public. What you're showing me, bring to the public, because I can't explain that. I mean, you need to bring it to the public. And so now it's been, I gave a 30-day, last meeting I said, let's put it off 30 days to talk about the other plan that came in. And also, really, to give you a chance to get another 30 days to put more together to show us what you're really doing there. And I can tell you, I'm really disappointed. I have more to say, but I'm going to let everybody else chime in here.
Councilman Teixeira?
In some ways, I understand all the focus on these videos, right? Everybody's curious what's being discussed. You know, they want to see what we saw. But in other ways, I just don't understand the significance that's being put on the videos simply because I think of them as a visual aid, supplemental tool. It also can be, in a way, misrepresentation to be attached to this agenda item because this is just a vacation request. None of this is part of this agreement. And I'll give you an example. When we were looking at all the presentations for the development of the Bluff, the original presentation by Gotham was 2 towers, 600 apartments, and a very different design. But when pen came to paper, it was 1 tower, 400 apartments, and much simpler design. So to me, a video is just a visual aid unless it's, or a supplemental tool, but it is insignificant to the end result unless it's accompanied with a written agreement. So I just want to make sure that as I appreciate the video because I do want people to see what's being discussed. I am also disappointed that I didn't see the whole thing. But we are simply talking about selling the street. And this is just a visual aid. It has nothing to do with the agreement that we're discussing right now.
Councilmember Cotton?
So I appreciate you coming out and showing our video. This was probably shown because it was one of the nonverbal binding agreements that I requested that goes with the vacation request of Garden Avenue. I wanted the public to see which portion of their video, you know, it's kind of that verbal portion of this is what we're going to do also in regards to that. So that's probably why she's showing that to answer your question. You know, I do have a few other questions as to that. I think I would know the reason as to why you didn't show the entire 15 minutes of your video. Is there anything that you'd like to answer back to that before I ask another question?
This video shows the projects that are currently actively ongoing. Every single one of these buildings has active permits. And so anyone who wants to see projects and what is happening, these are things that you can see are happening right now.
And are any of these buildings up for offer right now for lease or sale?
They're all up for lease 100%.
Where could people or the public or developers go to find those types of things?
Hybrid Real Estate is the leasing broker, and they are also the telephone building, and People's Bank and Woolworth are also on LoopNet. Hybrid is promoting those on LoopNet.
Okay. Another question is, a portion of the public has reached out to something that is in your belief system where it says if it isn't written, it isn't true, and that could be discussed as in this isn't written or binding. Can you speak to any of that in accordance with this presentation you've given today?
Well, everything that I'm talking about is written. It's on our website. We have professionals who are involved in this project, a number of national and international firms who have been hired to revitalize Cleveland Street and the downtown as part of the Cleveland Street Alliance. They include Gensler, who is the top architectural and design firm in the world, Highbridge, which I just mentioned, who is doing retail recruitment, Street Sense, which is another international firm. They do very meticulous surveys and planning on what should go where in a retail district to make sure that it thrives. And it includes surveys of all types of people, meaning they surveyed tourists, they surveyed local residents, they surveyed everybody to make sure that what is actually needed in Clearwater is in Clearwater. There's a national development firm, Fairmount Properties, that is also involved. Halfence and Pache is a Tampa architect firm who did all of those designs. And Michael Halfence is an award-winning architect, and he is a professor at the University of South Florida on Florida architecture. So these are all the people who are involved in this project and are the ones that are, getting the tenants into these properties.
I have one final question for you, and that goes into, being a second-generation native, knowing downtown as we have it, as we've seen it, as a lot of locals have seen it for decades, and that, quote-unquote, I'm sure you've heard of a ghost town or something like that. So why is the activation happening now, and why hasn't it happened previously, or what's changing that?
Well, I mean, one thing that's changing now is we have all of these professionals assembled to be able to do this project. In the past, you had a number of different property owners who may or may not have had the resources that these properties needed. Councilmember Albritton has brought up the condition of these buildings a couple of times, and there's over $30 million that has gone into just design, planning, and renovation just on these 9 properties that we're talking about. And with the property owners that are part of Cleveland Street Alliance all working together as one group, we'll be able to get this done. We'll be able to make sure that the right retail is in there, not people competing against each other, and that it's what the citizens of Clearwater want in their downtown.
Well, as I said earlier, I appreciate you coming and showing this video, answering questions. I know I'm probably not the last question that you'll have, but for me, this is that verbal agreement portion that it's untangible. It's a video right now. I understand that, but this just shows that we have a worker for Scientology that is here before us showing a video that was at my request in good faith that is a verbal, non-binding portion of my agreement that goes along with the vacation of garden. I think this shows a good step forward in being transparent and these tough conversations that nobody really wants to have, right? Of one of the biggest organizations down here that you guys do. You did tell me that you own 200 properties, and I see this as an important step forward in trying to allow city staff to work with your staff to try and revitalize and make our downtown. And when it comes to the portion of the 15-minute video, I think I go back to what I've told other people, how I've responded on phone calls with people that have reservations about this, is that we get stuck on Garden Cleveland. The original meeting that all of us had was...
We can get to all that. I really want to direct questions now, let the others ask their questions, and then we'll discuss
I'm going to wrap up and
After we're
then
done.
just maybe take another minute.
Yeah.
So, as what I was going to say is, I've lost my thought, if I'm being honest with you, and it was right on the end, and then I probably would have had no further questions. So, we'll finish with questions, and then I will probably remember what I wanted to say, but thank you very much for at least honoring my portion of the verbal commitments to what I've asked you guys to do.
Councilmember Moreno?
Thank you, Mayor. Before I get into questions, I think it's important to thank you for being here. There's an appetite for healing in our community, and healing takes two parties willing, two parties to be held accountable. And what we've said for years is we need both parties to be in the sunshine, communicating transparently. And boy, wouldn't it be nice one day if the Church of Scientology showed up to City Hall and had open dialogue with the council, our citizens, and the leadership team? Exactly. And here you are. So before I, try to beat up plans or questions, I want to commend you on stepping out of your comfort zone, because this isn't comfortable for any of us. Conflict, as this is shown so often, is a conduit to change. And the community's been begging for it for years, for a change in relationships, a change in behaviors, and a change in how we do business in front of the public and bringing the public along. So I thank you for being here today. You are kind of in between a rock and a hard place when it's requested to show a video. So many want to see that grand video, but where I come from in thinking of this is if you showed that whole video and you made any changes to that plan, fingers would be pointed at you and said, liar, you did it again, you misguided us, you misled us, that's not what you showed us, that's not. So for you to show us the video that the council member requested, all, was that 7 minutes long? All 7 minutes of it, and every single one of those properties that you showed are currently in writing in a sense of building or demolition permits, that's correct?
Yes, that's right.
Which is important. The community's been asking a lot of things over the years. Come in the sunshine, and you're doing it. The community asked, please tear down tequilas, it's ugly on the corner. Somebody made that request, and within a week it was torn down. The community asked, please, let's move forward with development of vacant, empty properties. And we just saw a video of 4 historic buildings and the whole 600 block, all with permits to be developed that leads to activation. We all want activation, right? Is activation what you would like to see as well?
100%.
We all want activation, but we understand to get to activation, you have to develop. And to get to develop, you have to pull permits. And that's part of the process that's going on here. I had several questions written down. I thank you, Council Member, for asking them, because you hit them. Many citizens have also said, please stop with first floor institutional buildings. Did any of these plans we saw today, 400, 500, or 600, have institutional uses on the first floor?
No.
My question was regarding the Cleveland Street Alliance, and who is it? Is it just the Church of Scientology? Is it non-Scientologists? I think you kind of discussed that. I appreciate that. I don't have too many. I do wish that you had a picture, we could put something up of the actual plans of South Garden. Do you have those with you on what we are discussing today?
Yes, we have a copy of the rendering, which is also on the Scientology.org website.
Would you mind sharing those?
Yes, certainly.
You probably should hold it up.
Hold it up.
Thank you. One of my last questions, sir, can you please tell us, do you need this road, and why do you need this road to develop what's in front of us.
Absolutely. The hall could not be built without this road. The hall and the park are one project. It is going to be an architectural masterpiece. And with 4,000 people going in and out of the hall and the park, you know, in the 21st century, you just are not going to have a public road right in between those two.
Understood. Thank you. My last question, and I've heard you address it, I believe, again, out of your comfort zone on a local radio show. I appreciate you stepping out of that comfort zone and being open again with the citizens. Is this venue, does it compete at all with our Ruth Eckerd Hall venues downtown?
No, definitely not. We partner with Ruth Eckerd Hall, and if Ruth Eckerd Hall wants to use this hall, we are definitely open to that. We are not going to be booking concerts or anything else that would be in competition with Ruth Eckerd. The hall will be available for nonprofits and charities to use in addition to the church, but we're not going to be competing with them.
Okay. Well, that's the end of my line of questioning. I appreciate you stepping out of a comfort zone. The citizens appreciate the way, and they should appreciate the way, not only this council and the leadership team has truly held both sides accountable, and we do that in the light, and we do that in City Hall, and no longer behind a secrecy and a veil of secrecy. And I appreciate you being willing to step in that direction and bringing the public along with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have. You wanna go ahead?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot a couple more questions. These renderings and videos confirm my opinion, and I've told you this, Sarah. The Church of Scientology builds beautiful buildings, stunning, top of the line. My concern is what goes in it. If you go down Cleveland Street, there's, I think it's like 9 to 11 beautiful pastel-colored Disney-like buildings, but they're all nonprofits and empty 90% of the time. So that's my concern. It's not what you're building, because I can see what you're building. What you have built and what you will build will always be beautiful. It's what goes inside is what concerns me. I have been reached out about 3 times by 3 separate entities talking about leasing terms. And the range is anywhere between $35 a square foot to $79, which is like Manhattan prices. So that's another concern that I have. Do you know if the leasing terms is going to be, I don't know, how can I say this, rational? $79 a square foot for Cleveland Street?
I don't know where that $79 a square foot for Cleveland Street has come from. It will be market rate. Scott Dobbins, who's from Highbridge, is here. If you have specific questions on the leasing, I can have him come up. But it will be market rate, and it will be retail, restaurants, offices, and open to everybody in the community.
And my last question is, you say that you need this road for this project. Are you saying that if you don't get this road, the project will be canceled?
We do absolutely need this road for the project.
So if you don't get this road, it will be canceled or just modified?
It cannot be modified. We are going to need the road.
Because I can name a bunch of other venues that have more capacity that don't have a private road.
I appreciate the applause, folks. I'm really not trying, but it does slow us down a bit. So just be mindful of that as we go along. So, because I have some questions too. The street, I see cars approaching from, I guess, from the north to the south. So you're going to have cars on that street anyway. What's the purpose of closing it off on US 60?
That is just a drop-off. You know, it rains here in Clearwater a lot, so that is the only use, and it will be very easy to block off, you know, when necessary, so that there are no cars.
And when you say you can't build the auditorium without closing the street, is that because you've committed to a certain size of the building, or what's the meaning? meaning there?
The whole project, including the park, it's one project. I mean, you can look at the rendering and you can see that it is a large single project, and you would not have a road go through the middle of it. And with the number of people that will be coming in and out of the hall, it wouldn't be safe.
What study did you do on the traffic impact of closing that street?
There's 2 traffic studies which are attached to the road vacation application. Both of those show that the road is rarely used, and in fact, the few people who do use the road, there's a significant number of crashes turning onto Court Street, considering the number of people who do use the road. So it's actually a safety, it improves the safety of the community by closing the road as well.
Okay. Those were studies we did, or you submitted those? Or?
Yes, they were submitted as part of the vacation application.
Okay. And how much property does Scientology and its members own in downtown Clearwater now?
I couldn't give you a specific number. There's definitely a significant portion, especially along Cleveland Street, which is part of the Cleveland Street Alliance.
So would it be possible to put your auditorium on one of these other parcels that you own in downtown Clearwater and not close this street?
No. It's part of our campus, and that is the location that the hall will be going.
Okay. And the purpose of the hall is primarily for the organization's exclusive use, is that right?
It is for our large international events, seminars, banquets, and we do them routinely throughout the year. And then, as I said, it will also be open to charitable and community groups. Just like the Fort Harrison is today, it will also be open, and we do those events 4 times a month for charities and community groups that are not associated with the church.
But it's primarily for institutional use.
It is for our use, yes. The hall itself, the park, is going to be open to anybody, and we do hope, just like the other 2 parks that we have in Clearwater, that they get used by the community, that people come, they have a place to relax during their lunch break. We get people who use the parks for photographs, backdrops for weddings, for sweet 16 birthdays, groups of mothers come. Anybody is welcome in the park, and that will be the same here. So the park will be open to everyone.
So I believe you said you use right now. We just spent $85 million on a park and a Baycare Sound. We have the Capitol Theater, and I believe you used Ruth Eckerd Hall just this past weekend for an event.
Yes.
Okay. So some of those events you're having at Ruth Eckerd Hall, at least, would no longer be held there. They'd be housed here.
Yes.
So you'd be taking away events from one of our cities.
Well, as I said, we work a lot with Ruth Eckerd Hall, and if Ruth Eckerd Hall wants to use the L. Ron Hubbard Hall, they will be more than welcome to do so.
Okay. I don't think I have any more questions.
I do.
Councilmember Cotton? Yeah.
Is Scott Dobbins here?
Yes.
Would he come up? I do have a question for him. Hi, Scott. Nice to meet you. So my question is going to be pertaining to Councilmember Techeda's market rates, and this is coming from somebody that's actually in our audience today too, that was telling us about a deal that they had heard of from you, that the rate was $79 for a specific property on Cleveland Street. So could you please, have you had any recent dealings, Mr. Dobbins, with anybody on any other properties where $80 to $79 a square foot rates were talked about?
Absolutely not.
Okay. What is the market? What are the rates you are looking for per square foot for some of these? And I understand that there's probably some negotiation that can go in with that, and even the second floor, third floors, those things are all negotiable from what can go in there, I would assume anyways, but can you speak to any of that and what those rates would be?
I sure can. Yeah, market rates are just what they are. They're what the market will bear. And generally, market rates are a derivative of the volumes that retailers can pay. So I think generally we're looking at market rates anywhere from $35 a square foot to $45 a square foot triple net. And we are negotiating accordingly based on the current environment in downtown.
Okay, very good. I'm just trying to go over my notes real quick from that meeting that I had to see if there was any other questions. Nope, that was it. Thank you very much. I do appreciate you for noting those. And
Please.
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Scott, thank you for being here. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you for answering that question. I definitely had that one written down here to ask you what market rate was in Clearwater, and obviously it's fluid and it moves. Is there any current or new activation as far as a recent lease or anything that's been signed and activated down in our Cleveland Street district anytime recently that we have not heard about?
I don't know what you've heard about, but I can tell you there's a bevy of activity going on. Both, we're probably negotiating 6 or 8 LOIs in various forms right now. Those are non-binding letters of intent for both the ground floor and the creative office spaces above the historics. So I would say we have talked to hundreds of retailers and their representatives over the last several months, and we are in active, engaged negotiations with virtually every retail category that we are planning for in the downtown.
Thank you. And Scott, are you local?
I am.
You are local. Would you commit to the citizens of Clearwater to show up as frequently as needed to these meetings and give us updates when leases are signed, when new activation is in place, so we can continue to bring the public along as well as educate this council and staff on when there is movement downtown?
Yes, the answer is absolutely yes. We are committed to this project, and we're committed that this is an inclusive project to the community. We are very excited at the prospects of what we're going to bring to this downtown, and it's for everybody.
Thank you.
Councilmember Albritton.
Okay, one other question while we're on this. One of the things that is different that the church is doing that we really haven't done in the city is targeting businesses, I guess, with that a company that goes out and finds the right businesses for the right. Could you expound on that a little bit and tell why that works better than just opening it up and having anybody rent?
Yeah, curating is the key to our strategic plan for Cleveland Street. We are looking at the high-hanging fruit, not the low-hanging fruit. We have spent years. I've been working on this project with the church and this group of experts for over 8 years. We are curating and merchandising a plan that takes into account everything from preserving the historic relevance of the buildings that we're currently renovating to bringing in some additional demand generators, cinemas, entertainment complex, gourmet grocers. All of those bring activation to the street. So we are actively curating a merchandising plan and working towards that versus just soliciting any and all. That being said, we are certainly very much open to all discussions from any retail categories, and we're looking to find places where they will fit if viable.
Well, to me, that hit home the most because it was something specific that you were doing to make sure a business succeeds, and a business that the general public recognizes.
Sure.
Because everybody that's been talking to me basically says that we're not going to ever go down there because they're going to be church. I go, no, one thing you did not talk about is the Family Entertainment Center. That I've heard this before is a big project, and I understand that you may have an operator for it already, and that is closer than, and you haven't even mentioned it. And those are the kind of things that disappointed me. It was like, okay, told us about this stuff, but you're not telling the public. So can you expound on any of that? I know you kind of probably can't mention names that you're talking to already, but if you can mention
what I can
names.
say is we're talking to the best of class operators in every category, including cinema and entertainment. We're not just talking to one, we're talking to literally the best in class nationally, internationally in these categories. They're not done yet, but there's a real amount of intrigue based on the demographic profiles of this city. Put another way, this city works for a major redevelopment of the downtown. And it starts with this live, work, play, dine district, which is Cleveland Street. I would also say the challenge associated with the conversations that I'm having is the question of risk. We're living in a very interesting time, and every retailer, every restaurateur has to identify risks. And the risks that I'm commonly asked is, will the city and the church work together? They have to be aligned for us to bring in the caliber of operators that we are currently seeking.
Okay.
I have a question for Scott. First of all, I do want to make sure that everybody understands that I was not saying that the conversation was with you. It was actually was not. The quote that we got was not from you, so I want to be clear on that.
Thank you.
You talked about that you've been working on this for 8 years. It's disappointing that you have nothing tangible after 8 years.
I use the analogy, this is an elephant that you can't eat one spoonful at a time. It requires a lot of planning on the background in order to really create a macro plan that's going to attract the caliber of retailer that we seek for this project.
I just don't see anything tangible. It's a lot of we're going to, we're in the middle of, and I'm growing impatient. I just want something that's tangible and concrete.
I can
Especially
appreciate.
if it's being tied to the sale of this street, which
Yep.
it's two separate things, because there's nothing in this agreement, nothing that talks about activation. Sorry.
I appreciate the frustration. I'm here to talk about leasing updates on the street. I can assure you, as my partners within the Cleveland Street Alliance, there has been millions deployed in the planning and in the solicitation of the right group. I can put my personal professional reputation on the line. This isn't smoke and mirrors. We are going, and I think we're going to exceed expectation on this council and within the community.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll call forward Brooks Gibbs and the
I have discussion. I wanted to talk about
after
this.
both sides.
Okay, all right, good.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say earlier. We'll talk about both of them after we've heard both.
Photos were sent. Photos were sent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mayor Brooks Gibbs. By the way, thank you, Mayor Bruce Rector, for giving us a chance to share for 10 minutes. Council members Ryan Cotton, Lena Teixeira, David Alberton, and Mike Menino, thank you guys for your service. I really appreciate it. We're here today to publicly object to the vacation of South Garden Avenue to the adjoining property owner, an action the city is not obligated to approve. We have submitted a superior proposal to the CRA and city in a timely response to the call for surplus land proposals. Our plan offers a stronger financial package and a more meaningful purpose to bring healing to our city through a memorial that honors the spirit of Old Clearwater, a history that currently lives only in fading memories. This is a gift we are offering the city of Clearwater, but only if you choose to accept it and present it to the people. You now have a rare opportunity, I believe, to be remembered as champions of the public good. I see you as a stopgap, the guardians standing between our community and the monopolization of downtown Clearwater by the Church of Scientology. If you continue to chase the elusive promise of activation from David Miscavige, Scientology's leader, you won't just be acting against the will of the majority, you'll be surrendering even more control over to the future of our downtown. The more power you give this organization, the less influence the citizens of Clearwater will have in shaping the future that reflects our shared values. We humbly ask that you choose our proposal. Allow us to fund, to install, and to maintain the Garden, a memorial park on South Garden Avenue honoring the people who built Clearwater. You know, I was thinking the Church of Scientology, they can build these buildings, but what we're bringing is the soul of the streets, the soul of the city, the soul of the history, the stories. And that's what's needed for people to fall in love with the place, not materialism. We urge you not to be swayed by the coercive tactics of the Church of Scientology. Every member of this council has expressed a desire to see downtown revitalized. But I think those good intentions could be strategically exploited. Some of you have received verbal assurances that activation is coming, but only if you grant them Garden Avenue. Others have voiced concern that denying this sale might mean losing any chance at progress. This kind of pressure is not the mark of a healthy partnership. It's a red flag. Good faith community partners don't threaten or manipulate, and we won't either. We're not here to make promises or issue threats. We're here with a clear mission to honor and preserve the forgotten history of downtown Clearwater and to offer our community a meaningful space for reflection, unity, and healing. We believe the future of Clearwater, we just believe in it, and we believe it's going to be bright. But it does not need to depend on the cooperation of the Church of Scientology. We, the people, are ready to rebuild, but to do that, we must first remember what was lost. Rebuilding without remembrance is not just careless, I think it's irresponsible. Our city needs healing, and memorializing provides that. You know, our proposal offers both a literal and symbolic path forward for downtown revitalization. It is supported by the hundreds of Clearwater citizens who have signed our petition, and the hundreds more around the world. 48 countries have signed these petitions, but hundreds and hundreds, over 500, directly here as Clearwater citizens. We ask you to stand with them, and I ask that you take time from now till Thursday when a vote happens to read their comments. And I know you care about their voice. I know you care about what they have to say. They're very moving. Our group, Reconnect Clearwater, is proud to partner with the Clearwater African American Foundation because we have come to understand this truth, that Clearwater history is African American history. And with that, I'd like to introduce Ms. Barbara Story Love, President of the Clearwater African American Foundation.
Thank you, Mayor and council members, for the opportunity to speak today. The land that we are on right now, and most of downtown Clearwater, was originally owned by just one man, James Stevens. Mr. Stevens is often referred to as the father of Clearwater. He originally received 160 acres of land from the U.S. government in 1842 for cultivation after the Seminole Wars. The Seminoles were an interracial alliance made up of native tribes, free black people, and enslaved Africans who had escaped slavery and found refuge in Florida. Mr. Stevens later sold his land to John S. Taylor, now known as the father of Pinellas County. And what was the price of all this land? Just one enslaved African woman. Mr. Taylor traded his black cook for most of what is now downtown Clearwater. Some say South Garden Avenue has no connection to black history, but they're not looking far enough back. Black history here predates the city itself. This history is thoroughly documented in numerous Tampa Bay Times articles and preserved in the archives of the Clearwater Historical Society. That unnamed African woman paid for this land with her life. When Mr. Taylor turned this land into a large citrus grove, it was African American slaves who worked the land and picked the fruit. After emancipation, this was a land of opportunity for many African American families who settled here and built their sustaining communities, Clearwater Heights, North Greenwood, and the Garden on Garden Avenue. Together with white business owners, African Americans were the labor force that built downtown Clearwater. For example, it was African Americans who constructed the Fort Harrison Hotel, cleaned the rooms, laundered the sheets, and transported guests to and from the train station and the beach. During segregation, we were self-sustaining and established our own grocery stores, Barbershops and restaurants fall all on Garden Avenue. This history will be forgotten unless we preserve it. Garden Avenue is the ideal place for this preservation. We're not claiming that South Garden Avenue was the center of African American life. We're asking that African American life be honored in the center of our city on South Garden Avenue.
Our proposal keeps half of South Garden Avenue open to the traffic. Only a portion is dedicated to the memorial. The design is elegant and informative, telling a story of African American contributions to Clearwater's foundation. This is just a beginning. You know, we envision a mile-long history walk, like memory lane, that starts right there on Garden Avenue and continues throughout the city with QR code technology, augmented reality, oral history captured in multimedia format from people that are still alive today that can remember what it was like watching the parade go down Cleveland Street and then recreating that with visual technology. Our project will serve as an open-air museum that not only tells the story of the African American community on Garden Avenue, but will explore other aspects of our rich history throughout all of downtown. You know, when you memorialize something, you tell an inspiring story worth remembering. That is at the heart of our project. We wish to inspire Clearwater citizens to love their downtown and pass on this legacy from generation to generation. If I may use this overhead protect, it's like my third grade class. I remember I had a teacher who only had 4 fingers. It was weird. But as you can see, we left, well, we're offering $1.5 million for this property, which is more than our competitors' offering. And our terms are straightforward. We pay half up front in good faith before construction, and we pay the balance at the end of construction. And that, of course, would be less than 36 months, which is quicker than our competitors finishing their construction. We've kept the lane open, as you can see, to the public and are willing to work with the city to preserve that road for easy access into downtown. We believe this is going to be booming. I hope they do activate all their buildings. I certainly do. I hope they do allow retail space to be filled. And I hope this is going to be great. But we need to memorialize that which was lost and enjoy as we build forward and move forward. And if that's true, that we're going to have more people down here, let's keep this road open. Some have feared that we might purchase this land and then turn around and sell it. I've actually heard that speculation. This is not our intent, which is why we have provided in the proposal the city with the first right of refusal to purchase the land back from us. Finally, if the city prefers to retain ownership of the land and lease it to us through a public-private partnership, we fully support that approach. We agree that keeping the land under the city control is in the best interest of the community. Under that arrangement, we would still remain committed to building and maintaining a park at no cost to the city. Finally, we believe that the garden at South Garden Avenue is the best use of this land that you have declared as surplus and put up for sale. In just a few years from now, we believe you will look back and say, this is how we were able to bring healing to our city and build a new downtown that united our citizens.
Good afternoon, Mayor, council members.
How are you on time?
The word healing continues to keep coming up that side and this side. And I believe the city started the process of healing. I pastor Mount Olivet Church, and we were a recipient of the CRA grant to help with our outreach ministries. So I believe the city is putting forth the effort to create healing. And I believe by approving this, that healing would continue.
Thank you. Okay, questions from the council?
Does nobody else have any, but just me?
I have questions as well.
Who wants to go first? Councilmember Cotton?
Yeah, I can start off for sure. Mr. Gibbs, if you don't mind. Sir, what was your name?
James Williams, pastor of Mount Olivet Church.
Mr. Williams, yes. May I please ask you a question? Here's my question to you is, when Mr. Gibbs approached you about his proposal, can you just explain to me how it was proposed to you?
remember the African American community, the persons who were part of building downtown Clearwater have been forgotten. And I believe the proposal is a way, again, to continue that process of healing between the city and the African American community. I believe it's well recorded, the tension between the African American community and the city. But again, I believe the city is trying to repair that. And I just believe this proposal will go a long way into repairing that relationship.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to put you under the gun, Mr. Williams. I just want to know exactly how it was proposed to you from your standpoint and
If I've
recollection.
manipulated you in any way to be a part of this project.
Asking Mr. Williams, not you. Is what I'm asking, Mr. Williams. I'm asking Mr. Williams.
I appreciate.
Let me tell you why I'm asking you this, and I will ask you very blatantly, because I did speak to Mr. Gibbs, Pastor Childs, of which, with anybody can go back and view our time here, we used to have this as the Mac Dixon Save the Garden proposal, which, let's go down history lane. Mr. Williams, thank you very much, and I was not trying to put you under the gun. Here's where this starts, is that your wife emailed me back on March 14th with no proposal of a garden, and coming at this from a strictly don't sell to Scientology proposal. And that's fine. That is well within anyone's rights.
We have multiple motivations to be involved.
I'll speak, and then I'll let you time to respond back.
Sure.
Because when I met with you and your group, you countless times interrupted me, which is very rude, and I don't
My
know.
apologies.
And you're a very kind person, so I don't know where that comes from. So I'll finish my thought, and then you can give me a retort. So going back to this, we started March 13th when your wife originally reached out to me, and we had a good back and forth. I think it was healthy dialogue. Moving forward to that, we had a CRA meeting in which Ms. Sori Love was at, not there related to anything with Scientology, but she did hear about that. I believe it was the April 3rd CRA meeting of when that happened. And then shortly after that, at our next meeting, we had the proposal of the Mac Dixon Memorial Garden. And that was, I believe, Ms. Sori Love probably got with you all, and you tried to unite and bring together a coalition to get a remembrance. I received notification from the city manager in my next follow-up that the African American community was upset with the city because the African American community was not reached out to, that they thought that it was our proposal, and they were upset, and rightly so, that the city hadn't reached out to see if it was in the right place, to see if it fit the narrative or the guidelines of what they want. You have since gone back and rectified the name and spoke to Pastor Childs and the whole 9 yards. The reason I asked you, Mr. Williams, again, was not to put you under any pressure, but when I spoke to Pastor Childs just last week, he was not aware that there was going to be Reverend Raymond that would be a part of this memorial park. Mr. Gibbs, is Reverend Raymond African American?
I think you're asking about
I asked you
the
a specific
founder
question,
of
sir.
Calvary Baptist, and I thought, sufficiently answered that objection, and certainly to the satisfaction of Pastor Childs. This is non-issue. But there are two projects. We have the Garden Avenue, dedicated to African Americans, and then we have a mile-long walkway that connects to it that goes where Calvary was, where you went to high school downtown. So yes, the story of other people that are not African American are told throughout downtown Clearwater because it's our city.
Which I'm glad you brought that up, because again, when I had to go, because I like to speak on facts, not emotion, and when I went to the Clearwater Historical Society to make sure that I was aware of where the African American community was, their neighborhoods were on North Garden Avenue, not in the specific proposal of where it's at now. And I even went furthermore, as into I believe a few African Americans lived a few yards south, more towards Lake Avenue in the Morton Plant area, that type of area, to which I was affirmed by the Historical Society that my recollection was correct. Here's my biggest thing with this, and I'm sure everybody in the room can see where their narrative's going, and it boils my blood, and I don't know your heart. I only know what you're telling me and what people have been told, and that's going to be between you and the good Lord above, and much wise, where I come from is between me and God. But here's where I come from in looking over the historical timeline of how things are developing, it would seem to me, especially after talking to Pastor Childs, that the African American community is being used as a means to an end. And it boils my blood to think that that might be appropriate or happening. So I want you to know that through the reason I'm asking questions and seeing certain things is because it seems like go to the Garden's website and watch the first video. I've told you this in your meeting with your team. It doesn't seem like an African American championship video. It seems like a backwards compliment sandwich in I Hate Scientology. It is anti-Scientology, followed by African American community, followed by more, we don't like Scientology. I can't tell you when you started this, and we can go back and watch the recording about the revival and the healing that we need. How many times you mentioned Scientology negatively before we even went into the African American community? So again, I'm going to say my piece, you can say your piece,
Thank
and
you.
our hearts will be known by the good Lord above. But if that comes to fruition, that they are being used as a means to an end, that's just terrible.
Thank you, Ryan. I know we serve the same God. You know, Psalm 139, it ends by saying, search me, try me, show me if there's any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way of everlasting. That is the passage that I pray constantly. The other passage that Jesus said was, he who has ears to hear, let him hear what the Spirit is saying, and that has guided me through this whole process. And I was listening. It was Barbara Story Love's testimony on March 17th, right here in front of the dais, that inspired the idea. I did not come up with this African American cause. She spoke it. She reminded everyone that the garden community used to be here. And so I said, you know what? Okay, God, I'll put that in my heart as well. Other people were complaining about Scientology. I put that in my heart as well. I put it all together. And one of my gifts, Ryan, I think as you've seen, is that I can assemble things. I can clearly present the vision. And I seem to be a good servant in that capacity for this moment. And I've tried to put together the best proposal we could in the short amount of time. As far as the miscommunication with the African American community, there's another verse that says, he who hastens with his feet sins, or in a multitude of words, sin is not lacking. And both things were true. Number one, we had to quickly put in a proposal. We couldn't speak to all constituents. And I had to share what the proposal was, which is a multitude of words. I made mistakes and I misspoke, and I will, and you will too. But what matters is my reputation, and if you ask the people, anyone who had something against me, I went straight, face to face. I apologize if I did anything wrong. They understood my intent and my heart. They helped clarify things that I was unaware, and we improved the proposal, and thank you for giving us an extension to do that. So as far as I can tell, we have great amount of support. Pastor Childs and many pastors from his ministerial alliance have signed a letter of endorsement. We have also letter endorsements for other people, plus all the petitions, so I digress.
With that, we're just going to okay. So with that, I would also like to ask you, did you at any point in time in your meeting with the African American community tell them that they would get this to be voted on specifically? That this would be its own vote. That this.
Can you try to start over?
Did you at any point in time, when meeting with the African American community, Pastor Childs and his group, or any member here, tell them that this would be brought to a formal vote?
I have no idea how the process works. The question is, did I tell them that this would be brought to a formal vote? I told them we have the right as citizens to put in an alternative proposal. We have a land use attorney who's trying to guide us to work with the city manager and council members to understand the process. It's a learning curve for all of us, including some of you. So I didn't make any guarantees that this would be voted for. I would certainly hope it would be voted on, which is my request. Thank you for reminding me. Please make sure this is voted on May 15th.
Well, the reason that I ask you that question is because in my conversation too with Pastor Childs, he said that you had already assured him of that. So listen,
What was my assurance, if you may be clear? I'd hate to be. What was
Mr. Gibbs, I'm very clear. There's no.
No, it's
fact of
actually. What did I
misclarity.
guarantee him?
That this would be a formal vote. So here's the problem. It could be a misinterpretation of what he said. Is what I'm saying is that my conversations with them, it seems like there's still a lot of unanswered things that are happening. And again, I'm going to leave it at this, and we can move on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know your heart.
I'm telling you, neither, and I don't know yours,
Exactly.
but I like you.
But
I wish we could hang out.
And that's what no, nothing says we can't.
And Miss Barbara would like to respond to that statement
Absolutely.
that you said.
Well, I founded the Clearwater African American Foundation, I think in 2022, because there was no conversation about preserving or memorializing African American land, space, buildings, or anything African American in the meetings that I attended. There was nothing. And when the Elks was demolished, I said, Lord, somebody needs to do something. And I asked myself, why not me? Last January, I came to the city council meeting and asked about the city purchasing the Friendship Missionary Baptist Church, which is on Gould Street in the corner of Madison Avenue. That is the first building that I spoke about because it was on the street where I grew up. I've had conversations with the CRA, I've had conversations with the mayor, I've had conversations with my classmate here, and nothing was said until I was told that the council was going to vote for Scientology and the South Garden Avenue property. I said, well, I'm not even concerned with Scientology. But since Garden Avenue is in the conversation, I'm going to go out and present my request to not forget about Garden Avenue, which is what I did. That is where my heart is. And I don't think Mr. Gibbs, after going through what he's going through, and we've all gone through in the last five weeks, our hearts, to question our hearts and our intentions, I don't understand it.
Well, again, Ms. Sori Love, I'm not questioning your heart or intention. That's not true. That's not true. What I am questioning is how something was presented to the African American community, and if they may or may not have misinterpreted or misheard something. Because I do not want...
Folks.
Because I do not want our African American community to be misrepresented.
Exploited. Nor would I.
I would be remiss if I didn't say anything.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for making your concerns known. I'm not a guy you should be concerned about to do such a thing. I'm a man of integrity. I'm a man of God. I answer and fear God more than anything else. My ambition is to do what's right. I'm putting things together. The people believe this is right. Can this be voted on? Let me just ask you, since you're the one that brought it up. Can this be voted on?
I will not be bringing this up for a formal vote, no.
So then someone would have to basically make a motion to vote on it?
I would have to ask city staff.
So you don't know?
How that would have to formally go out.
Okay.
Yeah, we're asking questions of you all right now, so, yeah, anything else?
I'm done, thanks, sir.
Okay. Councilmember Menino.
All right, let's take a deep breath.
Yeah,
Let's all
hey,
get
all
back
right.
grounded. And Brooks, I ran into you having coffee the other day. That was nice, and I appreciate you praying with me, first and foremost. I want to commend you and the whole group for the efforts, the time you've put in. Whether there's a motive to be questioned, I'm not poking holes in that. I want to commend you and recognize the work that's been put in to get to this place. Whether I'm supportive or not,
Yeah.
that's not the point. I want to acknowledge the work you
Thank
put
you.
in, and I know it's been a team effort.
Yes.
And I know it's been a passionate team effort. So thank you for that, first and foremost, because your passion is in Clearwater, and regardless of what the project is, it's what we're all trying to do is find a way to heal our city. It needs healing. I said that earlier. You said it as well. Pastor James, you said it as well, right? We need healing. Where we need to find is what is that path to healing and what is the right path. And we may disagree on what that path is, but I appreciate the time and your efforts in putting this proposal. Can you help me in a couple questions, if you don't mind? And it's not to trip you up. You're far smarter gentleman for me to trip up right now. Can you tell me what is Reconnect Clearwater? Is it a legal entity? Is it a 501c3? Just so I have an idea.
Reconnect Clearwater was established for this particular project and will live on. Just like any time you build anything, there's an LLC that's created for the project. Same thing with a nonprofit entity. Now, we are registered with the state. We're also registered with the city. We had to register Reconnect Clearwater to do business with you guys. And we're under temporarily a fiscal sponsor, which is what people in our situation do. When you start a new nonprofit, you have to wait a certain amount of months before you're actually getting approval from the federal level and the state level for your 501c3 nonprofit status. So we are under the umbrella of another nonprofit in the meantime. But we are moving forward and establishing board of directors, et cetera.
Would you
to
be
prepare.
illegal? I'm sorry. Are you done?
I am.
I don't mean to
Brooks
step
and
on your
Dunn. Go
words.
for it. Yeah.
Will you be a legal entity
Well, we are right
by
now.
Thursday?
We are a legal entity right now.
Okay. Regarding what the council member was saying, because I was a part of some of those communications as well, and if you don't mind, I'm not going to use my own words. I'm going to use, because what I don't want and what we don't need as a community is to set a narrative that our city is divided racially, or that we are trying to create some sort of division in our community, that there's already a bit of friction, understandably so, because of the history of bodies and cemeteries. And I hope that that's a whole different issue, and I hope as a community we can find a way to heal through that. But what was said is regarding this plan was that Reconnect Clearwater has no prior relationship with our community, yet they're now reportedly attempting to bribe the African American community by, I'm just reading this, just let me finish. Do you mind if I,
Please
and I'm not
do.
trying to offend you or
No,
anyone
man.
else,
I
again.
mean, please do.
By asking for official support for their proposal in exchange for getting support from multiple millionaires to help fund other projects in North Greenwood and beyond. Is that,
Can you tell me who said that?
I don't necessarily think that's
Well, if you
important.
say-
I'm just asking.
If you say her, if you read her quote,
Folks, please let the council member ask questions and let them respond. Reconnect, yeah.
so are you waiting for me?
I mean, you can answer it or you're not. I'm just asking.
I'm just, Lena Morrison, is that who said it?
Lena Morrison.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's going to be people who refuse to talk to me, refuse to have a conversation with me, refuse to ask questions, make up things, hear things via hearsay. You know, I've taught social skills to kids for 25 years. My PhD is in social psychology. I teach third graders that you do not just believe something, a rumor, you have to go to the source. And if you have a problem with someone, you go directly to them. Also, I talk a lot about not getting offended, you know, to give people the benefit of the doubt and let all your behavior be governed by the golden rule. It has been heartbreaking to me to see the dysfunctional behavior of grown-ups when it comes to information they know nothing about, and they're happy to slander and spread rumors. This is certainly one of them. No, sir, I've never bribed
Gotcha.
millions of
That's fair.
dollars to
So
Africa.
that's-
I will answer because it was quite a scandalous accusation. I have not bribed anyone, certainly not, nor would I or could I. I don't have millions. I'm a thousandaire. I'm not a millionaire. And so I don't bribe people to somehow endorse this.
That's, and I thank you for that. All I was looking for, and I knew you would give it to me, was your honesty, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
So you are familiar with that email that Ms. Morrison sent?
Yes.
Would you, or Ms. Barbara Story-Love would probably speak to it, would you disagree with her historical facts that she identifies in here regarding
Yeah,
the African-American communities and the history?
You know, I appreciate her sending that hate mail, because in that email was information that I did not have, and it's good information. So I agree with the information she sent where they had the directories attached. I don't know if you have that information in there.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
directories of the businesses.
Yes, ma'am.
It was a good email as far as that is concerned, but for her to send it in the tone that she sent was uncalled for.
I got you.
And I don't even know her. I've never met her.
I've never met her either, and I can't speak to her tone. I just wanted to see if we were, because when we're identifying an African-American history or the history of downtown, I think it's important that while we're reimagining it, that's one thing, we can't rewrite it.
Well, now here's a
right?
very important thing to answer your question to me, and then I also included her at your suggestion. It was this. The land we're on right now was traded for one slave. The year was 1842. All right, Clearwater. I mean, that's $1 billion now worth. 160 acres at $6.5 million per acre. That's $1 billion trade for an African American life. So people like this madam who came and shared her opinions. She was going to 1950. She was going to 1932 was her earliest history example. But you have to go back to even 1842, and you realize all this land was the land of the African Americans. Now, I don't want to be divided. In fact, the story, if you read the proposal, and I know you do your homework, dude, you are quite
We've
the
met
reader.
several times.
You are
We've
very good.
discussed it
Yeah,
at
you're a
length.
good student, and you know that the proposal was not about division. I'm a peacemaker. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Peacemaking. That means the African Americans and the white-owned businesses work together to be the workforce that built what we call downtown Clearwater. That's the story of unity. And it allows to show the diversity, but working towards a common goal.
I got you. I appreciate you. I think it's important to know that even our African American community is split on support in this. Am I correct in saying that? It's probably
I
fair.
found that if they receive funds from the Church of Scientology, they really do not like our particular proposal.
Okay.
That's been my experience.
Urban Leadership Coalition, are they supportive of this project?
Some people would not meet with me. I tried to reach
So-
out to everyone.
No. Clearwater Colored Cemetery Society, are they in
The
sup-
3C Society, Ms. Diane?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm the communications person for
Yeah.
the 3C Society.
Come on,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm the communications person for the 3C Society.
So you could speak on behalf.
I can speak on behalf of the 3C Society. And if
Would
I'm
Miss
not,
Diane agree with that?
yes, she would.
Okay.
She'll be here on Thursday to
Right.
speak on our
Good.
behalf.
Fair
Mr.
enough.
Gibbs, Jill Gibbs, Kelly, we sat down with Miss Diane, Miss Petriva, Miss Lois, and Pastor Childs, and we ironed out the disagreement. We moved forward with forgiveness and love, and we have received their blessings to move forward. The coalition, they will not meet with you. I have not had an opportunity to meet with them. I welcome the
I got
opportunity
you.
to meet with them. However, their conversation, and they're doing good things in North Greenwood, but my concern was there's North Greenwood, there's the Clearwater Heights, and there's Garden Avenue. Garden Avenue was not even getting any conversation until I stepped to the lectern on, which day was that? March 17th, and mentioned, let's not forget Garden Avenue in the discussion because of his historic presence.
Councilmember Menino and
Yes, ma'am.
Council, thank you. I do have one piece of additional information from the Clearwater Urban Coalition, not from them, but I had reached out to them. I have an email on that morning of Thursday, April 3rd. This is what I said. My name is Kelly, and I am part of a team that is exploring alternatives to benefit citizens of Clearwater. Instead of seeing our city sell South Garden Avenue to Scientology at tonight's council meeting, my friend and I spoke at Monday afternoon's CRA meeting during the Citizens to be Heard about items not on the agenda. I believe that Gloria Campbell attended that meeting and heard us share our thoughts about the city's upcoming vote. I would love to connect with Gloria this morning, if at all possible, and also with Barbara Sorilev. I listened to her comments from the March 17th council meeting about South Garden Avenue. Any help that you can provide in getting us connected would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Blessings, Kelly Meyer. And I have not heard back, but I
fair.
want you to know.
And I appreciate,
Yeah.
and
Thank
my
you.
point isn't, to poke holes. My point is to say, not only are we divided as a council and divided as a city, but our African-American community is divided as well. So I don't want a narrative to be established that it's the city versus our African-American community or our African-American community against this council, because Ms. Love, we know that to not be true, and that's the only reason I asked her. So thank you for reaching out, and thank you Thank you for that. Ms. Love, would you agree with this statement? And again, this isn't to trip you up, I'm using those words. The Garden Avenue African-American neighborhood ended at Drew Street and went no further south. Downtown was never part of the African-American community.
I cannot attest to that because probably I'm only 73 years old.
Okay, this gentleman said I was born in Clearwater 80 years ago. He's got
Okay.
you by a couple of years.
And my recollection of Garden Avenue is the North Garden Avenue area
Yes, ma'am.
and the businesses that were there.
Yeah.
But until now, there was no discussion on North or South Garden Avenue. So I chose the opportunity to speak about South Garden Avenue as being the memorial place for the garden, Save the Garden.
I got you. And I'm
I have an
moving
answer
along.
for that, actually. The African-American community did have an African-owned bar called Mano's on the corner of Pierce and South Garden Avenue, and that's right by that bus area. Also, there was a catering place where Emily's, I think, is, or whatever that restaurant is. It's like a mom-and-pop diner. It used to be a catering shop. African-Americans would essentially make the food for many of the hotel issues. J.D. Baskins also had a building right next to that that had a laundromat and press where you'd iron clothes, and he employed African Americans to basically wash the sheets of the city. So to say that African Americans didn't have any type of, life or activity down there is just not true.
Yeah.
And I think it's irrelevant, honestly. The argument is moot because we're trying to put that story in the center of the city, which is so great because so many people pass that every single day. And if there is an auditorium that they certainly could build right there, they had renderings of it in 2017 with a road going. It wasn't a problem when they had it built in renderings then. We'd have thousands of people being able to see the memorial. So for us as a team, we think this is the perfect
Yeah.
spot.
And I appreciate that. And the reason I ask is because it seems like the goalposts keep getting moved a little bit with this proposal. I admit originally we were so passionate and gung-ho on a Mac Dixon Memorial Garden.
Yeah, may I respond
Was
to
it-
that? I mean, you brought that up twice.
No, it's not a question. I'm
Oh, okay.
just making a statement because that's originally
We
how.
have corrected that, and you keep bringing it up. It is now Save the Garden.
I
We
get that.
have corrected that with the 3C Society, sir.
I get that. And,
Okay.
And can you spell Mac Dixon for me, please?
Well, there's an informal way and a formal way. Many times in the Tampa Bay Times, it's MAC, and then in some other
Which family
history
members
books,
found disrespectful to misspell it. Is that correct in saying?
I've not talked. Listen, I've talked to Pastor Childs, and
I got you.
and I have. Whenever you have some greatness in your history,
Yeah,
that's sacred. I have a granddad that's like that.
I agree.
And if I knew at the time that that someone's grandson would be upset by something, I would thought honestly that they'd be thrilled that we were taking a name that used to be called Mac Dixon Neighborhood.
Right.
Now it's changed to Heights. I thought they would be thrilled because he was obviously a leader back in the day, and so I was shocked that anyone would take offense. And so we just took that name out, and I'm still willing, if Pastor Childs and the other family wants to have a memorial for Mac Dixon, a great hero in our community, we are more than willing to feature them.
I'm fair.
But that's
But if we do, I would say let's spell the name correct, only because it's spelled wrong 5 times in your original proposal. And
Well,
if
we use
are-
the informal
if we
spelling,
are so
yeah.
passionate and geared on respecting and remembering a legacy and a heritage, let's make sure that we spell a name correctly.
Right. Thank you.
That is a question. I think it's important.
Thank you.
Did we do a traffic study on your one-way road that I think I just heard you say for the first time will be heading north? Is that the way the one lane will go? And I think that was a great question, Mayor. Thank you for asking earlier.
We were struggling to get feedback because of the last-minute nature of this whole thing from the staff, from the city. We have not done any independent traffic studies. We know the Church of Scientology has. We believe the city has also done that. And so, that seems like redundancy
Gotcha.
to me, but we'd like feedback. If the city said we want traffic study, you're going to get it in a matter of days.
And the reason I ask isn't to say what you didn't do on it. It was interesting to hear that you would choose to route them north and not route traffic south to help feed them to Court Street and get down to the beach. And I didn't know if you were going to tell me
You have
there
to
was a
turn right
study.
from Court. You have to turn right
Yeah,
from Court.
you
You
can-
have to
Right.
go
You have
north.
to go right, right-hand turn off Court. Which makes sense.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
No, you can come
Yeah,
down
you're
Court
right.
and you can take a right.
But for the PSTA, that would be murder.
And you can come down South Garden and you can take a right.
To the beach, I guess, you're right.
Yeah, thank you.
We
Okay.
can address that a little bit further for you, actually. I know when we were looking at the city documents, there were issues with the PSTA and having that road completely blocked. So that's why we thought an open roadway, at least northbound, to relieve traffic that's going to the beach, that could then turn right on Garden still to get into the downtown made the most sense. However, we are very flexible with that as well, and that's why we were disappointed that we don't have any feedback yet from the city staff or departments, but we are more than welcome to work with anything to help the traffic flow of our city. So,
Gotcha.
thank you.
Okay. I want to wrap up because I've taken up plenty of time, but what I do want to, again, is to thank you. To thank you for the work you put in. Thank you for your passion. I truly hope, whether it's this is the path that we take, I truly hope we all stay committed to healing this community. You know, there has been challenges in our African American community for a long time. In just within the last handful of years, we've struggled to keep the MLK Neighborhood Coalition building open. I don't know if you've had any involvement of fighting for them, but I don't believe so. The African American History Museum has been struggling. I don't believe this group has came to the table. I know somebody in the audience offered $30,000 to help this fund. I would just hope that we continue this passion, this energy, and drive in healing the community. And if it isn't this project on this specific 0.63 acres of roadway, I hope your attention and passion into our community continues, because I do know there are other avenues that we definitely need help in healing as a community. So I thank you.
Okay.
Councilmember Teixeira.
I think this is a good time to reboot, okay? And let's look at this pragmatically. I am not going to question you any other differently than I did with the Church of Scientology. So I'm not going to talk about bribes. I'm not going to talk about knowing your heart. I'm just not doing that. I'm not going to question the validity of the history or the validity of should you be there or should you not be there, should you be somewhere else. I'm treating both parties equally and pragmatically. I also want to emphasize I don't have an opinion on where it should be. You know, that is something that the community can decide. And like every community, it's not unanimous, and I don't pretend to know what that would be. So my concern is maneuverability and access. We have invested millions of dollars and so much resources to revitalize downtown. We have many projects that have already completed and many more that are coming forward. One actually was brought to my attention this week and I totally forgot, which is the old PSTA site. We have developers interested in that. Again, this road will have a negative impact. So my question is this. Would you consider not blocking any lane? Because that is something that is very important to me. Access and maneuverability to the downtown that we have all been working so hard for. Would a memorial just on a sidewalk decrease it? Because I don't feel that the design you have right now is enough for access. And it also, to me, looks cramped and might have security issues with having one lane and then a park. So would you consider just not blocking either side of the street and just have a memorial in a smaller scale?
We have been longing to work with the city council on this matter for any suggestions. So of course, we would adjust it to a way that would work for everybody. Our goal is win-win. And so if you're saying you need a south exit, or instead of just a one-way north towards Franklin, you need a south lane as well to Court Street, and you could explain that the wisdom of that, we submit to superior logic. So yes, we're team players, and there's something we could do. We could be creative.
And you're willing to lease instead of purchase?
I think that would be in the best interest of the community to actually have the city maintain ownership. I don't think you should be selling the street. But if you are going to, then we would like to make a proposal to purchase it. But no, we're happy with the lease.
So I understand that there's been a lot of heated discussion and conversations and going back and forth, but I do want to go on record that I do realize this is a grassroots effort. Big group of diverse people with diverse opinions. You are not a multi-billion-dollar entity who's had a year to prepare, and I acknowledge that, and I just wanted to thank all of you, because one thing is a fact: you are passionate about wanting what you think is the right thing to do. So I wanted to formally thank you for that.
Thank you, Lena. Thank you.
Do you have anything? Any questions? Any other questions?
I mean, the city manager had something to say about city staff involvement a little bit earlier, but I think she got missed.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions that the council might have as it relates to staff's response. We have been incredibly responsible and so are responsive to them, and so happy to answer any questions that you might have as it relates to that.
I'll have it, but.
Okay.
Thank you for your responsiveness.
Okay.
I do have one more statement to say to mainly all of our African Americans that are here in the room. And listen, the reason that I asked you, Reverend Williams, about this is because I, as a first responder in my community, have seen racism firsthand with my partner on a rescue of somebody calling 911 and then not, literally we open the door and they see my African American partner and say, he can't come in here. And I can't tell you how that made me feel. So that's why I'm asking the questions I'm asking, because I genuinely care about you guys in that community, the African American community, and I want to make sure that you guys have all the knowledge and everything that's going on beforehand, because I do care. And I want to make sure that you all understand the facts and everything that was presented, because it does seem like there were some discrepancies. So this isn't trying to pit one against the other. I think that, Councilmember Menino and the mayor and a few Vice Mayor Teixeira have said it very eloquently. Honestly, this is about healing and making sure that you guys are championed, and I want to make sure that that's done in the right way, and I think that the CRA would be a great way of doing that, and maybe forming a coalition to talk about that and make sure it is in the right place and going forward. I just want you to man, everybody else that's in this room, to understand where my heart is coming from, because I have seen a glimpse of the disgustingness that is racism and division. And it hit me like a truck then, and if you can't tell, it's making me a little emotional now, and quite frankly, just making me angry. So again, I don't know the heart and intent of the proposal. I wish and pray that it is to champion your community. And if we can't do it this way, I don't think we let it die here. If it's this group that wants to continue with that and go forward and make sure it is in the right location and everybody does agree and that this gets done, I think it is important. And I think that our CRA would be a huge area to establish that, not just for funding, but for also the future preservation of it as well. So I just want you all and anybody else that's in the audience sitting down to know that. That's where my questioning and concern was coming from. Okay?
Mr. Cotton, I appreciate your comments. It's a privilege for me to pastor the oldest African-American church in the city, and I try to live and move in the spirit of discernment. And when I had a conversation with Dr. Gibbs, my spirit was intact, and I trust what he's trying to do for the African-American community and the city.
Thank you.
I just have to say,
Tony, unless they've got a question for you, then anybody else got any more questions?
Mr. Cotton, if you vote, yes for us, you'll provide the momentum that we need, that we have, to continue to help the African American community with all their other challenges. So thank you.
Anything else? Okay, well, thank you for coming today and presenting. Appreciate it. All right, now, council discussion on this item. Councilmember Cotton, I think you wanted.
Sure, I'll start it off because I'll speak to, I've taken some notes here, and it was my request that, a non-binding verbal request, that they show the Cleveland Street downtown as a portion of the larger 15-minute video that was not produced 8 years prior, but it is a newer video that has been done by Scientology in order to say that, the city can make its taxpayer, I think that I have to give staff, first off, great recognition in what I believe is an ironclad sales contract. We have provisions that that protect taxpayers, that require the timely completion of a building that will also then add to the tax rolls and going forward. So in that 15-minute video, as Councilmember Albritton has alluded to, there was, a fantastic family center, and then there was even a residential portion and component of their video. I see this, what we've done, as leverage. Hey, you came here as Scientology. People cheered that Scientology stood here, a representative from the church, to clap that they're in the sunshine, trying to move forward. And I think that is a good thing, because it's what we all want, because I think everybody believes or thinks that they're a secretive organization, that things have been done behind closed doors, and that's what's led to the stagnation for decades. And here we can see the change of that happening. They've been on a radio show. They've been here in the public at the podium to explain to you what they plan on doing. And as I even asked, if it's written, if it isn't written, it isn't true type of a thing, which we have answered by Scientology representative. So I believe that the video shows their intent. They've told our intent, and I think we've got to also step back. The video that we all saw when we met with David Miscavige, and we had the city manager there and their staff members, originally they were asking for 3 properties, right? They were asking for Garden, they were asking for the fire station, and for the Osceola lot, the CMA lot, that's a parking lot now. So I am no developer, right? I mean, I just have to take information in, do some homework, and get into it. But from an aspect of trying to stay engaged, I would see the trade-offs happening. Activate downtown with Garden Avenue. And then if they want the fire station, well, we're not even going to talk about the fire station until we see the active, vibrant downtown that we want. But if you've got that going, sure, you're showing that you're being a good neighbor, as was said on a recent podcast. And I think that's what can happen, is I think you can see that activation if they're being a good neighbor and coming to the table and allowing staff to then move forward with the next phase. And that next phase could be the staple that is to draw people into Cleveland, or to get the family center going. For what? What does the next deal look like? So that's why I don't think, for me specifically, I did not need the whole 15, I'm estimating, minute video. I was looking specifically for Cleveland Street. I think that Scott Dobbins and everybody else has pointed out, Vice Mayor, you said that you're disappointed that we haven't seen anything in 8 years. And I completely agree, right? Like, decades have gone by where there's stagnation and things aren't happening. And I think that that's a frustration that we all share, every Clearwater Floridian, right? But I do believe that they gave an active answer to that, and it comes with assimilation, right, and trying to assemble all of these buildings. And I'm, again, no general contractor, no developer. So those are points of view that I didn't know or think to look through. So, there's those types of things, and that's really what I wanted to hash out about that portion of the Scientology video. I was already able to address the group here about where my heart is coming from, the African Americans, so I'm not going to hit that again. But to Ms. Meyer, if you would please get that 500 petitions that you have to us to email it.
Excuse me, Kevin.
Is it in the booklet? Thank you so much.
Sir, I see you raising your comment card. We'll take public comment on Thursday night. That's when our open meeting. This is just a work session for us to discuss ourselves. So, sir, there's no public comment right now. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Yeah. You may continue. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. So really, those were some of the things that I wanted to allude to, and I'll definitely look at those petitions as well. But that's from just to see kind of where that stagnation is and where we're going. And I mean, listen, I have to attest, you walk Cleveland Street and there is things being done, and I would be naive to think that that's just the beginning, right? Because you could keep it empty, right? And that's why I wanted this shown. I wanted Scientology to say firsthand in the public eye on a recording No, we intend on leasing those. So not only do we have the leasing agent that says we're actively looking for it, you have Scientology also here, not a representative, an actual Scientology representative that says, this is our plan, this is what we're going to do. Because quite frankly, I don't think the city has ever had anything like that. This now has a flag planted in the ground that we, future city staff, future elected officials can always point back to. Right here and right now. And it's either you did it and you succeeded, or you didn't. And we knew that's how it was going to be, and we can point back to it. And it's leverage. So yes, it's non-binding. It's not going to hold up in the court of law. But that's why I wanted those things to be done, to give other assurances that we can point back to and have those tangible grit to move forward and propel forward. Thank you.
Councilmember Menino?
Thank you, Mayor. My greater priority in this decision-making process is finding a way to make our downtown district an active and thriving district for all the citizens of Clearwater. Not just for an institution, not just for one corner of our community, for the entirety of our community. And that's what we share. We all share that same goal. We are not so divided. We may get home and see a news clip that shows an emotional meeting and split sides, when we all know walking out of here, we're truly not. We're in this for the same reasons, to activate and develop a thriving downtown for all of our citizens. It is of a greater priority of me to find a way for us as a city, as a council, as a staff, and as a community to heal, to move forward, to find a way to collaborate with an organization that we have a horrible track record with. Let's just be honest. We do. We are in a horrible marriage that needs counseling. We would all agree with that. What we can't figure out is, what does that path of counseling look like? What does that strategy, what does that roadway look like to bring us to a place where we can slowly inject little pieces of trust that slowly move the meter of healing our community? And that's of a greater priority to me. So in this decision-making process, I do not see this as a divided city, Save the Garden proposal versus the church proposal, the church proposal versus the city proposal. This is a decision-making process where we need to make a decision on what is in the best interest of the entirety of our city and what truly heals and brings our city forward. You know, when I had discussions with the church, just like everybody did, I told them flat out, the easy part of this puzzle is development and activation. That's the easy part, because if you spend it, they will come. They say that for a reason. If we put $250 million of development in a downtown district with a beautiful park on the water, they're going to come. People want to be a part of that, and I don't blame them. The bigger challenge is changing the perception of our community. The bigger challenge is how we truly heal those emotional wounds and move forward. And you do that by accepting the path we've taken is broken and has not worked. We do that by not pointing fingers of blame, by taking accountability on both sides of the table and saying, we were wrong as a city and as a staff on multiple levels. The church has definitely been wrong at multiple levels, and we can point fingers back and forth. But is there a place in this community we can truly come forward together in the lights, in City Hall, have open, honest, transparent communications that are challenging for both sides? I mean, for the first time, we had the governmental relations and community affairs director of the Church of Scientology in your City Hall that we've been begging for how many years? We've been begging for it, and now it's here. Those are steps forward that we need in this healing process. So development, activation, and healing, it's a process. I wish there was an easy button. I wish we could push that red button up here and have activation and leases and everything be alive. That's not realistic. what's realistic, that will show us as a council if we are making the right decision or not when it comes to us on Thursday, is TIME. TIME is what's going to heal our city. TIME is what's going to move our city forward. And TIME is the only thing that's going to show us if we're making the right decisions. And I look forward to continuing this process. Thursday is not the end of a conversation or the end of a discussion. Thursday's the beginning of a deeper conversation of how to truly move this city forward. And I truly believe that in my heart of hearts. So I thank all of you for the work you put in, for the passion you put in for our community. I thank all the citizens for being a part of it. Don't lose faith in whatever direction we go. Stay involved. Hold this city accountable. Hold us as a council accountable. And we'll all hold the Church of Scientology accountable by having these discussions in City Hall, transparently, and in the sunshine for the first time in 50 years.
Councilmember Teixeira, excuse me, Vice Mayor Teixeira.
I have a different view of this. I'm not looking for healing. To me, it's very pragmatic. This is a business deal. We are a government body. Agreements should be in writing. If it's not in writing, it is not true. That I agree. So as a representative of Clearwater citizens, it is my obligation to try as much as I can to get the best deal for our citizens. And so I understand the need for the video in terms of let's show everyone what's being discussed. It's only fair. What I don't agree with is the significance placed on that video in terms of the end result. And I'm not going to go through history, but let's just go through the history that we've all been here present. It was last year that the very building that we work in was purchased, and we were blindsided. And Mayor Rector talked about trust and the lack of trust. So that's why I think it's important to be pragmatic. If we need to move forward, then everything has to be in writing. We do it with every other entity. I don't understand why we're making an exception now. This sale of this public street, that's what we're discussing. There's nothing in writing about what we're getting back. Nothing. Even those videos does not show what type of businesses are going in. It's very general. And what have we seen about the assemblage? The assemblage is 11 nonprofits in a row, beautiful pastel colors. So it all comes down to this, in my opinion. I truly believe that all of us are here because we care. We're all here because we want to be part of the solution to improve our city. We want to be part of that team. So are we going to be the council that has repeated the same mistakes since 1984, where we vacate property with promises, or are we going to be the city leadership, the city council that brokered or negotiated a tough but fair deal where the citizens of Clearwater in writing get something back? We did not put the city street for sale. We didn't. We have 3 things that the Church of Scientology wants. Never are we talking about what we want. We want activation and we want it in writing. Everybody agrees. So unless it's in written form, it doesn't exist. So what will be our legacy?
Councilmember Robert, would you have anything to share?
Yeah, I got a few things to share. You know, being the oldest on council is like, you got positives and you got negatives on this. Negatives are I've been around long enough to see this whole thing happen because I've been here all my life. And the last 20 years, I've been really putting a lot of effort in trying to get downtown vibrant again, because I can remember it as a child. And I know some people get tired of me saying that, but I can remember as a child being proud of Clearwater over St. Pete and Tampa because we had a vibrant downtown. We had movie theaters, bakeries, we had everything. You wanted to see people you knew, you went downtown because they were all there. So I wrote some thoughts down, and I'm going to read them because I want to make sure I get everything that I wanted to say. So, as I mentioned before, I've spent over 2 decades working to enhance the vibrancy in our downtown. This has been a challenging task, largely because Scientology has established its headquarters in Clearwater. Despite having ample time to show a true commitment to activating its downtown properties for the benefit of residents and visitors, Scientology has consistently fallen short. For the past 50 years, Scientology has shown little genuine interest in contributing to the vibrancy of our downtown until it presented its grand plan to the council during one-on-one meetings held nearly 3 months ago now. This ambitious initiative extends from Osceola Avenue to Missouri Avenue along Cleveland Street. It aims to address several questions, including why Scientology has acquired so much property in and around the downtown core. The answer lies in its development plan using parcel assemblage and intending to attract targeted merchants and restaurants along Cleveland Street for the benefit of both residents and its parishioners. My only request of Scientology was that they make their grand plan public. So after the whole thing was said and done, I just said I have one request. The public's got to know about this, because if I go out, I'm excited, I love the plan, and I try to sell it to the public, they're going to wonder what I'm talking about. So anyway, it has been almost 3 months since our initial meeting, and my patience is running thin. My eagerness to initiate an active downtown may have clouded my judgment regarding trust in Scientology's plan. However, I find it difficult to trust them to execute this plan when they won't even share the complete plan openly. Moreover, my stance on the sale of the public street has shifted as I reflected on what was promised compared to what has been revealed. Thursday night, I will vote against the sale of Garden Avenue and adopting Ordinance 9812-25. I may reconsider the vacation of Garden Avenue's right-of-way only after the full plan is made public and the current projects underway on Cleveland Street are completed, along with the promised restaurants and retail establishments there that will benefit the public. That's it.
Thank you, Councilmember. I have a few comments. First, I'd like to say there is no reason to close this street. No reason at all. When I ask about traffic studies, that this street is never used by anyone, that is completely different from my personal experience. I use this street every day. I talk to the people in our City Hall building that use this portion of the street every day. I left an event at the Sound on Saturday night, and every parking spot was full on that street. And I go through there frequently. Why do I and others use it? Well, we changed to complete streets on Fort Harrison a number of years ago. We narrowed that, and the traffic backs up way north and south on Fort Harrison. Not even when a concert's letting out, just during the daytime traffic, rush hour. I don't care. It's a little like we're trying to get people out to Clearwater Beach, and Clearwater Ferry, fortunately, is running again. Whatever volume they carry on the ferry out to the beach relieves stress on the causeway. And closing this street, I don't care if it's a huge volume of cars or not, it relieves traffic going to and from Cleveland Street, the Sound. There is no public reason we need this street. And particularly in a downtown where we don't have enough streets north and south going in and out. So, I was willing to consider it if there had been some plan. I don't know what the alternative plan is to get traffic coming and going there, but I have not heard anything. And I, to kind of piggyback on what Councilmember Albritton said, their presentation today was the most underwhelming presentation I've seen. It had nothing to do with closing Garden Avenue. It had to do with other things, and I appreciate that my council member asked them to present on that. But I wanted to hear about why are you asking us to close this street? And the only thing I can understand from what was presented today and what's been presented so far is because they want to build a bigger building and a bigger auditorium, I guess. They want a bigger footprint. Well, folks, I don't remember what the exact number of parcels is that they have purchased over the last 7 to 10 years, but I think they've grown their footprint enough in downtown Clearwater. And closing the street just so they can build a bigger complex on US 60, the gateway to Clearwater Beach, that makes no sense to me at all. So if, it's a free world, and they certainly, I think, to build an auditorium on the East End lot that they already own, I don't even think they need, as long as they stay within the code parameters, I don't think they need any flexibility in the code to build an auditorium there. That's their choice. But certainly, I asked the question earlier, they've got all kinds of properties downtown Clearwater that they could put this auditorium on if they wanted to, where they wouldn't have to close the street. So I wanted to share that. I also wanted to share that we don't need an auditorium in downtown Clearwater. As I said earlier, our community just spent $84 million on a fantastic Coachman Park and a fantastic, becoming internationally renowned amphitheater with entertainment 2-3 times a week and big crowds coming out. We have a performance venue that seats up to 8,000 to 9,000 people, or at least can fit that many people in. We have the Capitol Theater, which is busy all the time for smaller groups. And we have Ruth Eckerd Hall, which have served our community for many years, and which Scientology used this past weekend for one of their events. The community doesn't need another auditorium. We got enough we're already trying to fill. So it's entirely for them, which, again, I appreciate. They can do whatever they want to do with their own property to serve their members. But for us, we need the street more than we need an auditorium. And for me, that's another reason to do it. I also want to say that the problem hasn't been pretty pictures and drawings, and there's a police station over here that they did a fantastic job renovating the police station, old police station. I don't know when's the last time I saw somebody coming and going from that building. It's a beautiful rehabilitation of a historic building. It is beautiful, but it's not used by the public. And if whether or not we agree to close Garden Avenue, if Scientology cares about our community, they will still develop all these things that they're showing. They'll develop and put the public into these buildings. Whether we close the street or not, if they really care about Clearwater and growth of downtown Clearwater, they will do this without that. And the last thing I want to share is what I said earlier and what Councilmember Albritton said about trust. This is not my street. It's not the City Council's street, South Garden Avenue. It's the city street, and it's the citizens' street. And an overwhelming number of our citizens do not want this street closed. They do not want to sell this street to anyone because many of them use it, or many of them want to maintain as much public control over downtown Clearwater as we can, and this street is part of that. The trust is a problem, and that, at the end of the day, is where the citizens, we have this divide between our citizens and Scientology. The trust comes from years of hearing about Scientology buying property and then not seeing any public activity in those properties. So if you want to change the trust level, follow through on what you're doing here. Put public access activities in these beautiful buildings that you're renovating. After a period of time of doing that, you will win the trust of the community. But until we see that, until we see public access operations in these buildings, you're not going to win the trust of our citizens. Too much has happened over the years, particularly all this land purchase with nothing happening in them, for us just to turn the switch or say, well, the pictures look great, and we're going to trust you to do it. We need to see it, and the citizens need to see it. And hopefully over time, whether we close Garden Avenue or not, then you'll still do that, and then we will improve the relationship. But pretty pictures and making buildings look nice, that's not going to win the trust of the citizens. Only by putting public, active businesses and things in these buildings, over time will you change that. So I am going to vote no for vacating the street because I think we need the street. If we want to grow downtown Clearwater like we are, we want more and more volume in the park. We want more and more volume on Cleveland Street. We need this street. But if we don't, the alternative proposal for me is what we should go to, because they have been open to keeping at least one lane, and I agree with Councilman Teixeira, really 2 lanes would be ideal, to keep it an open, active public street. So those are my comments.
Mayor, I thank you. I just wanted to follow up real quick, and what I do want to make a comment to my friend, the Vice Mayor. I respect your decision, and I know this has been weighing on you and your family heavily, as it has all of us, because this is a very challenging position to be in. So challenging that no council that sat before us or city leadership has found the solution to solve it, and this is part of it. So I respect you. I greatly respect what decision you made tonight and whether it stays the same on Thursday. But I do hope that you sleep better tonight, getting that off your chest and getting that out, because I know how much it's weighed on you. So to all of our council, I say the same thing, and staff. I know we've worked hard on this, and not to necessarily go out and try to prove anything. That's not what this has been about. The discussions that we've been having is about learning and understanding what our citizens want, what our city wants. And as we digest those discussions, it brings us to a decision, and this decision has brought us in a place where we're split. And this won't be the first time we'll be split as a council, but we will be united on so many other things. But I just want to say, I know it's been challenging and tough on all of us and all of you, and I respect you for whatever decisions that are made going forward.
Anybody else? Okay. All right, with that, we will move to item 11 on the agenda, city manager reports.
Nothing, sir.
Okay. Item 12, city attorney reports.
Nothing right now.
Item 13, new business items.
I think that's me, isn't it?
I think it is, yeah.
Thank you. Yep, so this is just, again, to bring up for discussion, allowing staff to provide a framework for each council member to have their own budget for tickets and events.
I'm putting that on mute since they're over. OMG, you guys. OMG, that is not. Thank you, Anne. Oh, what a sweetie. Thank you so much. Oh, that was not what I expected. That was freaking beautiful. Hopefully they vote the same way Thursday night and they don't get to them. Wow, thank you, Anne. My heart is so full. Thank you. That was freaking awesome, you guys. I know I'm not on camera. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Talk about not wanting the other shoe to drop, though. Yep. Hopefully she doesn't change her mind and become the third one, because she sounded kind of iffy. Yeah, you know it. You know it damn well is going to come hard between now and then. That's right. Make sure that that there's no medicine mix-ups. You know, he was the father-in-law. Al Britton was on the fence before. I thought it was Menino that was going to change. I thought it was Menino that was going to change his mind. Huh. We could still have an upset Thursday, you guys. But uh, until the Fat Grammy sings, thank you very much there, Miriam. Muriel call me a bad singer and everything. Um, yeah. Yeah, I did not expect that whatsoever. Boy, this has just been a freaking days of our lives. Holy shit, this is days of our lives. Yeah, in Menino, oh, what an ass. Well, I hope you sleep better tonight. They're all in Hawaii. They'll be on their way home, Amy. Either they're going to have to fly home a day early. Yeah, you're right. He won't look good. So everyone needs to write the 3 yes votes and continue to support these guys. Go to City Council website and send them an email. Can we all post? I'll find their emails, you guys, and I'll post it. Yes, it's Miriam. It's spelled Mirjam, and we call her Muriel only because it's just funny. Somebody called her Muriel once. That's her pseudonym. That's her pseudonym. That's the bad person's name. There's Miriam and Muriel. Yeah, they all need to. We all need to flood their emails with thank yous and praise. Thank yous and praise. That's what we need to do. Even if that's just the subject line. We're cracking up at you, Muriel. Miriam. Muriel the axe murderer. Her alter ego. There you go. Thank you. That's the right word. Oh, yeah. Yep, I love it. You're right. And I don't think it's fair for them either. They already had this planned before all this came about. And you know what? They have access to email just like we do. They can email, and they're going to vote the way they're going to vote, whether Aaron Smith Levin or Farrell Sherrill or George is there. Hmm. Yeah, that was a page turner. Yep, the power of the people to push back. Somebody, if somebody could find Brooke, is that his name, Mr. Brooks? Email and Barbara. Yeah, I think Mark Bunker is still there, and there's others that are still there. That the armed fisherman guy. Yeah, I like that too. They have enough footprint. Yeah, that was just awesome sauce. Yep, we need to be kind. We need to say thank you. We need to say attaboy. Great grandma, they had already had this trip planned and they had the date set and the tickets bought. So I'm not going to give anybody hell over that. Let's be kind. Let them enjoy their last 2 days together. Yep, the vote's going to happen no matter what. Yep, let's just be encouraging. You know, and Aaron and George and Farrell Cheryl can email them to thank them and to encourage them and to re-give them some support. They don't need to be standing there. It would be nice, but they don't need to be. There are others that can go, yep. And I'm not giving you hell, great grandma. I'm sorry. I don't mean to sound bad. I'm just yeah, let's tell them now we're more comfortable with coming to downtown Clearwater. You're right, great grandma. It could have been, but I don't think they knew either. I think this was the council hiding it from everybody. Yeah, I promise I'm not giving you hell over it. But it has been chicken scratching trying to get this, and I seriously just was kind of reserved for the loss. That was it, right? Definitely, Amanda. Thanks for the lightning bolts. You're always a lightning bolt. Yeah, you guys, let's use this to continue to come together to take down $1 billion cult. Phew, okay, well, that was a little bit refreshing. That is not the way I thought it was going. Not at all. God works in mysterious ways, that's for sure. Yeah, I really thought it was a done deal. Power to the people. Okay, you guys. Okay, well, that was last minute, and I'm going to work with Haggis on another idea. So let's be the change we want to see. Absolutely, Miriam. Let's be the change we want to see. Okay, I love you guys. Uh, we'll see you in the morning. I'm sorry for the last minute, but I'm glad that I caught this. So much love to you all. I'm stopping streaming.